Shalom Akim, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Akan Kadesh, Barakatam, Barakatah, Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Akan Kadesh, the wonders and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Stone, to the Akim Akrath, try the four corners of the earth, holding on in sincerity and in truth to the gospel of the Lord of Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, in these days and times, with diligence of mind, as Abraham Nasha, the East Camp. Another short lesson for the hopeful elect. So you're no stranger to what's going on in DC when you have all these centurions roving around, picking up people, doing what they need to do to enforce the iron hand of the elites. All right, whether it's ICE, DHS, FBI police, DC police, or wherever agency, LAPD, Customs, and Border Patrol. Hey, it's just part of prophecy. The Lord has already made it clear to his servants, the prophets, that these things have to happen. There is no running away from it. You have to deal with it head on, and there is no avoiding this path. These are acts in prophecy that has to take place. So it's a good thing that these things are happening. This will get our people to be sober-minded and call upon the Lord and get their mind in order towards worshiping the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Shai Ba'ashim Kakadash in spirit and in truth. Right? Because they see that now that window is closing, man. The doors of grace, the doors of mercy is closing slowly and slowly and slowly. Just like in the days of Noah. So our people got to be prepared for the inevitable demise of society, the crumbling of infrastructure, the crumbling of all the institutions that want to uphold a fair and level playing field, that's so to speak. All right, Amos 3 and 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord had not done it? So the Lord has to bring these events to fruition. Man. The words of prophecy have to be realized. It has to come upon the face of the earth. A lot of people are beginning to catch up with the words of prophecy. Now they having a front row seat to the coming chaos, the coming brutality, the coming destruction of households. They're gonna have a modern day destruction of their courage. So it's just what we've been preaching about. What the prophet's been preaching about for decades. And it's beautiful that when the Lord puts His spirits upon the apostles to go into this topic, a lot of folks don't want to hear it, man. They just close their ears and just skip. And now here we are. So DC, is gonna be a training ground, for these door-to-door searches, door-to-door habeas corpus. How you say it, man. So snatch and grab, and all that stuff. Snatch and grab. That's just what they're gonna be doing. Those days of stop and frisk is gonna be coming to an end very soon. It's gonna be snatch and grab. So it's just what we've been praying for, man. Because these things have to happen for the kingdom to draw near. All right. So the Lord has to allow all this chaos to be unleashed upon the societies in Babylon. All right. So Folks like to say Jake has been committing crimes and all this stuff, man. Jake's been committing crimes for a long time. Jake has become a byproduct of Esau's attack on this on a stable society, on the stable neighborhoods, man. All the neighborhoods that Jake's had to build, that Esau destroyed. Now you're seeing the byproduct of Jake's carjacking, committing all types of crimes, self sabotage. And that's exactly what Esau has always been hoping for, that our people continue to self sabotage on autopilot. As if you just upload the self sabotaging software into their mind, and then they just go on a self sabotaging spree. Whether it's through the crack epidemic, whether it's through the music, the violence, and all that stuff, and the car break-ins. Because brothers are in the truth years ago. Even those that before they came in, you hear about all these kitty car thieves, kitty car thieves, man. From kitty car thieves to carjackings. There was no major push for all these centurions to be on the streets. But what did the mayors do back then, man? They were just window dressing. So now it's what happens. So the mayor of D.C., the council of D.C., the police chiefs of D.C., they've been exposed as just hired helps for the plantation owner. All right, because there are levels, man. There are levels on the plantation. So all these screaming and yelling for statehood, I'm like, yeah, right. Now, so that's what it is, man. So when they get exposed for playing with the people's mind, man, because these so-called politicians they like to play mind games with the people, and when the people are wise enough to see what's written on the books, then they know that they're just playing games on the ignorance. So that's the way the elites have set up the system, man. That at any point in time they could push a sitting mayor aside, they can push a police chief aside, and then what can they say? You think those individuals sitting in all those local government positions want to go without having food on the table? You know, they're gonna go along to get along. Going along to get along is what put them in this position. So when they get exposed, now you know the reason why. It's that the Lord has to start showing the people that you have a lot of folks that's you know of our nation that are an Esau system, and they're just there as rubber stamps. In other words, they're just frontline managers. Just like managers you have at Burger King and McDonald's. That's what these mayors and police chiefs are. So they've been exposed. So what can they say? They can't go back and forth with the president. They can't go back and forth with the Justice Department. So they're just there. They're just there for the appeasement of the elites. Because now all the elites, are on the same page to control control the narrative. So they're just gonna just put a face up there. You know, put a face up there to make it look as if people have a stake in the direction where the plantation has to go. So yeah, that's just what it is. Amos 3:6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people shall not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord had not done it? So it's just part of the agenda of Yahweh Hashem Shai to expose who the enemy is, to expose how the enemy system is organized before it begins to fall apart. All right, that's just how the Lord operates. He has to expose, has to shine that light for the people to see, for the world to see who the puppets are and who the puppet masters are. Okay, so Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. What does it say? It says that as for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. So when you see all these dysfunctional society uh, symptoms of a dysfunctional society, you understand that there's a breakdown in the family structure. There's a breakdown in order. There's a breakdown in people believing on the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments. So what does the Lord do? The Lord has to uproot their system. The Lord has to stir up that chaos. And that's just what happens when no people don't want to build a foundation upon the Lord. He exposes their foundation and has it falling apart, man. The house built on sand, so it's crumbling, and a lot of people are just bailing out, man. So all the agenda of teenagers acting unruly is nothing new. But now the elites want to move on to the next chapter, so they have to use a pretext to move on. They have to use a catalyst, so they have to use all these bug outs out there. There's the so-called homeless. They use them as a bug out agenda to point fingers. But that's just how it is. That's what they want. So even when what's his name, the so-called congressman from Maryland, Mr. Cummins, was having some back and forth with President, with President Trump. Trump said what? That, what's going on in Baltimore, man? Baltimore needs to be cleaned up. Like, you got so many rats, big rats in Baltimore. It really needs to be cleaned up and all that stuff. But a lot of people didn't understand that those were things they had in mind for the future to implement. Just like Bloomberg was talking about deportations years ago, man, before all this began to be put on the mainstream, mainstream media, man. Bloomberg always, give a glimpse of the playbook. So, they speak and the elect understand at some point in time, and they're going to have to let that cat out of the bag. So now we see exactly who controls the purse, who controls who decides to have a position, who gets to keep their job. So it's just how it is, man. You understand the reason why there's so much chaos. Isaiah 3:12, as for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. So when you see all these women in government positions, they don't have the courage to stand firm on the path of righteousness. They're just playing politics. What do you expect? Chaos. Chaos, chaos, chaos. They become agents of chaos. They become catalysts for chaos. If they don't want the word of the Lord to have a firm foothold in the household, now it's what you get. All right. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy path. So our nation is a repair, man. And that is so our so-called leaders can't get the job done, man. That's the reason why the Lord is exposing them. Whether they are mayors in Chicago, in Baltimore, D.C., New York, New Orleans, it don't matter. It don't matter what position they are holding. The Lord has already made it clear that they have no sway in Esau's power structure. So the Lord has to expose them first and then tear it down. Just like the Lord said, judgment must first begin, you know, at his own house. So our people have to be judged. The Lord has to expose them first before they get judged. So that's what the Lord has put in the mind of the prophets. Okay. So, hey, we just have to accept the the Lord's recommendation, man. The Lord has to tear down the structure of falsehood that our people are currently relying on. So we go to the book of Ecclesiastes. Let's see. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and 1. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such as were oppressed. So our people need help. They need salvation. They need that relief. Okay, they need that relief. Our people are catching so much hell, man. And they need the Lord to mend their broken hearts. Right, and they had no comforter. And on the side of the oppressors, there was power, but they had no comforter. So that's the struggle, man. Our people have to live with on a daily basis, man. There is no genuine solution that these so-called leaders can recommend for our people, man. It's always the band-aid, 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 band-aid. They make a budget to help the homeless. All that money goes to the candy stand. You know what I mean by the candy stand. Yeah, all that funds, man, it just goes into the pockets of all this hook me up, I hook you up, buddy system. So that's what happens, man. So now the people get stuck waiting in line just to have housing. So the corruption becomes a tradition. So that's one of the reasons why J can't get nowhere, man, because corruption has become a tradition, of our people that go into these government positions. All right. So there's nothing that people can rely on, man. They've given up on the politicians. They've given up. When you say people have given up on politicians, they've given up. All right. So what else can they do? They don't vote no more because they've been around for a long time to say that the people don't care. So now they're going to be stuck within the rock and a hard place. They have to deal with the cruel system. All right. So, book of Ezekiel, chapter 28 and 23. It says this, For I will send into her pestilence and blood into her streets. So expect more chaos, man, on the streets of Babylon. All right, it's going to be bad. All right. And the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword upon her on every side. So a violent uprising of the machine is going to come upon our people, man. The Esau's machine is going to come upon our people. It's going to be bad, all right? And they shall know that I am the Lord. So they're going to realize it's the Lord that's bringing this judgment upon them, But there'll be no relief for the damaged goods of our people, man. They're not going to be able to handle the chastening of the Lord, man. They're going to destroy their own selves, all right? So it's going to be painful, and the prophets already know that it has to happen, and there is no way to describe it, death by pain, all right? So another precept be from the book of Matthew chapter 10 and 34, and it says that that beautiful statement the Lord Hamashiach Yahushua made. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. All right, so it's just what you have to look forward to, man. The Lord Hamashiach Yahushua has to allow this chaos to happen, man. The spirits of chaos, the spirits of sore strokes have to be unleashed, and people are going to feel the pain, they're going to feel the distress. All right. So when you read the other verses, it tells you that there'll be a breakdown, in the household. So that's just what it is, man. Wherever household is not firmly rooted in the word of Yahweh Shema Shai Shema Kakadash, hey, that's their that's their judgment. They're gonna become cannon further, all right, fuel for the fire. Dung on the streets. So that's a sad part of Babylon that our people are gonna have to experience. So one more precept, and that's about it. Now get on to the next one, Abaratazar, when the sun comes up tomorrow. So the book of Second Ezra, chapter 15, and verse 49. What does it say? It says, "I will send plagues upon thee." All right, this is what the Lord is gonna do to the hard-headed, the stiff-necked of our people. It doesn't matter where they are, man. The Lord is still gonna have to make that judgment come upon their own heads. All right. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 49. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. So just imagine, man, when folks' source of income gets cut off, sustenance gets cut off, the job is gone, folks can no longer qualify for food stamp as they used to, government assistance. Even if they qualify, they don't have access to quality food. So what does that result in? It's gonna be a famine. Famine, 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 and then you're gonna have men that are gonna fall victim to the system. They're gonna collapse under under the weight of their depression, and it's gonna be really, really sad. And then you have all these plagues, all these plagues that's just roaming around from city to city, all types of infections. All right. So the Lord is gonna allow this chaos, man, to engulf, consume the people. It's gonna be painful, but that's just how it is, man. As a man of the Lord, you understand that. You feel the pain of your people, but when the Lord said He has to judge them, you just have to step aside and let the Lord do what He wants to do. The Lord has to apply that judgment to whom He sees fit. So that's the point of this lesson, man. The land shall be shaken. The people shall be shaken. All right. So yeah, Bashima Shai, Bashima Kakadash Barakatam, and see you in the next lesson. Shalom.